Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I want you to see this because I believe this whole Bitcoin ETF thing is about to just open a window of opportunity, not just for Bitcoin or for the Bitcoin ETF, but I think it's going to open the IPO window for a lot of fintech, maybe AI and some other things. I think it's going to open a lot of opportunity maybe for the next 1 to 2 years. And Raoul Pal is hitting over what I think is one of the better opportunities right here.
You know, you've got, don't forget, two gigantic economies where crypto is somewhat restricted right now. It'll reopen up, which is India and China, both 1.3, 1.4 billion people. Both have currency issues in their own rights. So you can only think that this tokenized eurodollar market, which is offshore eurodollars, offshore dollar market, which is stable coins, will keep growing. And so I would say, you know, Tim, one of the companies that I think will likely be able to get an IPO window is Circle for that reason.
Now, if you remember, Circle was originally backed by Goldman Sachs. And so I've been watching Circle just as because Circle's on the Link2 platform. In fact, I've talked about it a lot. It's on the Link2 platform. But this is I've been looking at it to start accumulating, and I've begun to position myself to accumulate Circle because I believe Circle is going to be one of the big ones in this next in 2024 in the IPO frenzy possibly. So Circle is one I'm about to start accumulating. In fact, I started yesterday accumulating some Circle. Here is Tim Draper in this clip. This is a great clip.
When it was at 4,000, I said, okay, 250,000 in 4 years. When I predicted that, what I didn't expect was how fearful and just old thinking that the U.S. would be. I thought because I think with a receptive U.S., we would be having conversations like the ones I have with the people from El Salvador. It's like, hey, you know, have you done a smart contract for this? Or have you, you know, is the blockchain used, you know, is that thing blockchain secure or whatever? I think instead we say, oh, is that something that we can do? You know, we're sitting there doing that. And so I think all that is a delay. I'd call it the fear delay, the, you know, old government delay.
Gary Gensler, Senator Warren.
And I would say that
that's what he's talking about.
That my number of 250,000 will probably come pretty soon. So I'll stick with 250,000. We've already gone past my date deadline, so I'm wrong. I have never actually discussed this with my crystal ball. But
you've got 4 of them, Tim. Certainly one of them's going to have the right answer. We need to ask him more questions.
No, we need to have like consensus of the crystal balls. But I'll say 250,000. I'll say it's 250,000. Let's see, 2024. Yeah, I think it'll hit 250,000. I mean, it'll be a range, though. I mean, I think, though, you will see 250,000. I actually think that if it hits 250,000, that it'll go way past it. But if it hits, you know, we are going through that cycle that Raoul was talking about. We're going through the boom cycle. I think it.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I think this year.
Anything can happen. That's a thumbnail. Thank you, Raul. Let me write that down. Anything can happen. That's a good one, because that's true. Now I want to show you one scenario here, because this is kind of what I'm thinking. Because I've seen it 1,000 times in crypto. Anytime all you're hearing is that, oh, Bitcoin's going to go up, Bitcoin's going to go crazy. Anytime that's all you're hearing, something happens out of nowhere and it causes either the opposite effect or something you didn't expect. And so I'm kind of expecting that between now and the time that we have a live ETF. Once we have a live ETF, then Wall Street has the incentive for Bitcoin to go up. All up until there's an actual live, not an approval by Gary Gensler, not an announcement that we're going to do an ETF, but a live ETF. Until then, all bets are off. You could see these Wall Street guys get together and intentionally tank this thing to come in and scoop it up right before the thing goes live. But this guy's on the side.
It is absolutely happening, and it's happening in 12 days. So, what are are we going to see some kind of God candle? Probably. But, this being crypto, there's a lot of people who are taking perpetual 20x, 30x, 50, 100x leverage positions on this stuff. And because they're so bullish,
a lot of morons are doing that, maybe.
Get stopped out. And this can have a kind of a counter effect in the very short term, right? So you get a lot of people that are overeager. They're betting the ranch that this thing's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. They have no tolerance for pain. If the market moves 1% against them, they get automatically liquidated. This cascades, other people get liquidated, and all of a sudden we're in a bear market.
Don't put this past Gary Gensler's buddies. They would play that. I mean, remember, Gary Gensler's on the phone to all of his buddies, and they're going to know before you and I know of the exact date. You could have, this thing could be put off, even if it was for a week or a month or whatever. It could be put off just to make a pile of money just messing with the markets. That's how these people are. They have no conscience when it comes to money. Any means necessary.
A very short bear market, but we're in a bear market. So could this happen in mid-January? Yeah, it could. So I'm not interested. I don't play with leverage. And I think if you do play with leverage, the way to do this was long-dated calls, leaps.
You shouldn't play with leverage at all.
Available on MSTR. They're available on BITO, the futures ETF. So you can play long-dated without the risk of being liquidated, and that's the way you should do it.
Okay. I think that kind of advice is worth hearing, and this is too.
I think based on the size of the folks looking to make these ETFs and their user base, I think it could be quite significant for our industry as a whole. I think it'll show very clearly that TradFi is a very big player in the blockchain space and in the DeFi space. My view has always been that TradFi and the traditional capital markets are actually the biggest net buyer, the biggest net customer of things like Bitcoin. That will begin to take shape more and more through things like the Bitcoin ETF. I think, though, it'll go very far beyond that because fundamentally, this technology is about creating better transactions, more transparent transactions, less risky transactions, more high-quality relationships between counterparties, which is fundamentally what the entire banking, capital markets, and asset management sectors are really about. And so I think the Bitcoin ETF is an efficient initial step where the bigger players in the capital markets allow folks to access cryptocurrencies. But I think they will then go on to make more and more advanced financial products of their own, and eventually even define their own decentralized finance protocols that interact with the decentralized finance protocols on public chains. And this is where our infrastructure comes in to create that connectivity and interaction both among Web3 protocols, among capital markets protocols, and
Yes.
very importantly, between Web3 and capital markets.
Okay, and then finally, I wanted to show you this one. This guy Matthew McDermott, he was with Goldman Sachs. 2023 was the year of proof of concept. 2024 is going to be going into production live in an interoperable manner where we have multiple institutions trading amongst each other, are commercially viable and scalable. 2025 is the year of exponential growth.
And I think that, at least from the way that I look at it, if I look at the timeline, for me, the year 24 is the year where 23 was a lot of POCs, right? Done, been there, done that. 24 needs to be about going to production live in an interoperable manner, where we have multiple financial institutions trading between them, assets and projects which are commercially viable and scalable and replicatable. And then 25 should be the year where we're doing the exponential growth. I mean, that's my best.
Yeah, no, I think that seems reasonable to me. I mean, I do think, not wanting to name drop, but I think someone like Larry Fink, I think, has had a profound impact. Not only on the buy side, because people are like, well, what are BlackRock doing? Because they do have a multifaceted strategy. But then also on the sell side, because they provide so much in terms of dollars to the market. So I think, that's been good. So I think mobilizing, kind of, I guess, more market participants, the demand, I guess, is hugely important. So I think next year, even if it's a small number of projects, but you have the market coalesce around them, create the liquidity, and actually show that there is value there, I think, to me, that will happen, and that's going to be key. And then I agree. And then it becomes kind of, people don't need to talk about tokenization and underlying technology. And we held a conference in New York a couple of weeks ago, and Christine Moy, I'm sure many of you know, she was just spot on.
That's Christine Moy that created the JP Morgan blockchain that's now at Apollo Global with Jay Clayton.
If you're a trader, you don't want to be talking about tokenized assets. You don't want to be talking about what software you're using. It's really just kind of what benefits do you extract. And, if I'm trading whatever market is and the capital I use is less, the liquidity costs are cheaper because we're just more efficient, that's a positive. You don't need to know any more than that.
Okay, now I'm going to go into DAIXRP.com, which is my member group, and I want to remind everyone, first of all, XRP Las Vegas this year. I've got a link in there, and I'm going to try to put it back up at the top, where you can get $25 off. All of the links to XRP Las Vegas are under the description of my YouTube channel, but not the link to get $25 off. That's only in my member group. So you can sign up even if you're not in the member group. You can go in the description of my YouTube video. Now, in the group today, we're going to talk about, the first thing we're going to talk about, the biggest news that's happened in crypto probably in the last 5 years was completely ignored by the mainstream crypto media, news media, and it's probably one of the bigger scandals in the history of crypto. But they can't cover the truth. Remember that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how creepy the social credit score stuff that is going to be attempted. Write it down. And I'm going to give you a theory that I agree with about social media and what it really was and who really created most of it. Not all, but most. We're going to go into that. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. We do have a bunch of creeps that this is a battle of good versus evil, in my opinion. We have a lot of evil that wants to initiate things for control, and we're going to talk about that in DAIXRP.com. Away we go.